If you are pricing to form a new opening in an existing wall and then fitting a new window, then using this module specifically designed for the job couldn't be easier. Before I begin my pricing, I will just scroll down all the items that are involved in the pricing up of this work. As you can see, there really are quite a lot, and all of them need to be accounted for in my quote. I'll now go back to the top. Here in the red cell, I need to enter the quantity of openings I will be forming in the existing external wall for my window. I'm going to be doing 1, so I enter 1 here. Instantly, all of those numbers that we just looked at have all been calculated. By entering one number, Easy Price Pro's Renovations and Alterations module has worked everything out and done all the work for me. Not sure you believe me? Let's look at the pricing sheet and see what's been worked out. As the type of window and lintel are such essential aspects of this job, the module lets you select the type of window and lintel you will be using here at the top of the screen. These items and all their details are included in the pricing sheet, which I will show you in a moment. But you can choose the material type here, in the drop-down menus. The defaults are a 1.2 by 1.2 softwood window. I will be using this in my job, but you can use the drop-down menu to select something different if you wish. I'll also be using the 1800mm IG lintel. If you want something different, you can again use the drop-down menu here to select it. The choice of lintels in the library is extensive, but if you cannot see the one you want, you can add it into the material library and you'll then be able to select it in the pricing sheet. The same process can be done with the window. If you make any changes to the lintel and window here, the window and lintel in the pricing sheet will instantly change to match your selection. The labour for the cutting out of the new opening is highlighted in yellow to draw your attention to it. Depending on the type of existing wall you are cutting through, you may want to change it. I am happy with this default, but if you think you'll require more or less time, just enter the hours you believe it will take here in the cell. Next I have the cutting disc. At the moment a diamond disc is selected. The quantity I will need is highlighted in yellow, so your judgment may be needed. Like the cutting out, the programme doesn't know what the wall you are cutting through is like, so you may wish to increase the quantity if it is particularly hard. You can choose the type of disc you want by clicking on the question mark, or like I'm doing, by using the drop-down menu. If I select the 12-inch stone option, I can see that I will need a much higher quantity of discs. But as before, it's still highlighted in yellow, as you may judge that more or less are required. I will be using a diamond disc, so I'll just change it back. I'll need an abrasive cutter for 2 days. I can click on the question mark or use the drop-down menu if I wish to select a different type of cutter. I will be using the 300mm petrol cutter, so I'll leave this as it is. I have 2 lines for my wall supports. For this job I will be using 2 that are the same size. But if you require 2 different sized acro props for your job, then the option is there to price up using them. As I mentioned, here are the costs and hours for my lintel. If I had altered it in the drop-down menu at the top of the screen, then the material selection would also have changed here. 2 square metres of blocks have been allowed for my making good, and the cost and hours for my cavity closer are all worked out. Again, like the lintel, here is my window, showing exactly the same material details as the one at the top of the screen. I'll just click on the glazing question mark. Here I can see how the calculation for the glazing was done. The quantity of glazing that I'll require is based on it being 90% of the window. I'll leave this as it is, but you can change this here in the picture if you need something different. Back on the pricing sheet, this 90% translates to 1.3 metres square of glazing. If I click on the drop-down menu and use the magnifying glass, you can see the different glazing options. I will be using the toughened 6mm float, but if you want something different, you can select it and change it. If your window comes ready glazed, as is often the case with plastic windows, then this module is well prepared for this. I'll show you. I'll go back to the top of the screen, and I'll select a plastic window. I'll stick with the same size, so 1.2 by 1.2. This window is glazed, so the cost of the glazing is included in the price for it. Now, if I go back down the pricing sheet to my window and glazing, I can see that the window material has altered to match, and that the programme has removed the cost of the glazing and replaced the quantity numbers with not required. Clever stuff. I'll click on the sealant question mark now. In the diagram, I can see that this is calculated by allowing 0.1 of a tube every linear metre, which translates as one tube being used every 10 linear metres. I will leave this as it is, but if you do something different, you can alter this here in the diagram, or you can alter it in your master copy, and it will be set that way every time you use this module to price. My external and internal render bead are calculated. If it was brickwork on the external side, as it is in my job, then the render bead won't be required, so I can just untick it and the costs are instantly removed. The external bell drip bead for above the window has been worked out, but I won't be using this, so I'll untick the box and it's immediately removed. My render, sand and cement for making good the area have been calculated. I'll just click on the question mark for these items, and I can see the costs in the pricing sheet for these are based on the making good area being 1 metre square. You can alter this number to whatever area you will require. I want to allow 2 square metres for this, so I'll change it here in the picture. All of the costs for my making good items are now based on this 2 metre area. I'll click on the plaster question mark. The 2 metre square making good area I entered a moment ago has been brought into this picture too. I can see that 1 bag of plaster is set to cover 9 metres square. So when I go back to the pricing sheet, I can see that I will only need 1 bag. The fixings for the frame are calculated. I'm going to need 1 pack. I'll click on the question mark. This isn't something I would check every time I priced, but rather something I would set in my master copy. I can see the spacing that is allowed between the fixings and also the number of fixings that will be used per fix. I will leave these as they are, but you can alter this if you do something different. The raw plugs for the frame fixings are calculated here. Next I have the waste removal. At the moment a 1 yard bag is allowed. I'll be leaving this as it is, but if you want to change it, you can use the drop down menu here, or click on the question mark to choose another option. I will be decorating my window, and I will be using the painting options. If you wanted to stain your window, you can click on the stain option here at the top of the screen and it instantly changes. Or, if you're not doing the decorating, or if you're pricing all of your decorating in the decorating module, you'll just untick all the stain option like this. And all the costs are removed. As I mentioned, I am painting, so I'll re-tick the painting option here at the top of the screen. You can also change any of your decorating options by ticking or unticking the boxes beside each item. The totals for my plant, materials, hours, labour and overall total are all shown here. My forming of a new opening in an existing wall and fitting a window is priced. As you will recall, all of these calculations were performed and the pricing sheet was filled in just by entering 1 number. And due to the straightforward, clear layout of the pricing sheet and the helpful diagrams to assist, fine-tuning the details to meet my exact requirements was really easy.